Hello. Welcome to It Takes Two to Tango. So I hope everyone wearing the dancing shoes today. I'd like to welcome all of you who are here present in the room. We have people coming from Norway, from Poland, from Romania, and around Bulgaria. I'm very happy to see all of you here. But also we are streaming this event live, so I really hope we have also some viewers out there. That's a very exciting thought, actually, who is there. So, I am Kjell. I work at the Norwegian Embassy in Bucharest. We are also covering Bulgaria and Moldova. And I'm hosting this event today together with my very good colleague Alexandra. We have been through COVID time together, and we have been through wartime together in Kiev. We know how to tango. So I'm very glad that we also are here as the two quite unique, only EEA grant counselors in our ministry. I think it makes us quite special, right?
I agree with you.
Yes. Today, we like to highlight the bilateral cooperation. We had It Takes Two to Tango last year, where we invited people within the projects, sharing experience, talking to each other about their experience, how to cooperate, how did they find each other, and so on. So this year we wanted to lift it up and out a bit, and we tried to have a new approach to it and a new angle. So this year we have invited three communicators. We have a radio reporter, a TV journalist, a journalist representing Poland, Romanian and Bulgarian look into the bilateral cooperation within the grants. I will not say too much about that because they will have their presentation, and hopefully we can compare what is similar, what is different between our three countries. After that, it will also be possible for questions and hopefully some good and well thought through answers. Well, that is the short introduction from my side, but Alexandra, we are doing a lot of speeches in our work, so normally when we go to an event and we are presenting the EEA grants, how do we do it and what do we say?
I would also like to wish everyone welcome, and especially those who have traveled far to get here as well. And that's in order to set the stage, I just want to just to say some few words about the EEA and Norway grant itself, so everyone is familiar with what we are actually talking about as well. And as you know, Norway isn't part of the EU, compared to your countries, respective countries, but we are together with Iceland and Liechtenstein into a single market. And now we have actually been working together with you for 30 years to build a more resilient, equal and inclusive Europe as well. And we usually say that we hope that we are contributing to reducing economic and social disparities. So I think we can be proud of what we have achieved during these years, for example, 20 years with the grants in Poland as well. And I think one even more important aspect is actually what we're supposed to talk about today. It's the bilateral cooperation as well across our borders. And I think I'm proud to say that through this cooperation with the different diverse EEA grants project, our countries have come closer. And together we have been working on many different aims, such as reducing social economic disparities, as I already mentioned, but also social disparities around Europe.
Exactly, and I couldn't agree more. I'm still on here, yes, thank you. As I said, this is exactly the bilateral aspect is what we want to talk about today. We need people to make this possible, and we need also people to make the EEA grant adventure possible. It is a diverse group of people which are ranging from football coaches, prisoner staffs, there are researchers looking into security policies, there are rule of law experts and the civil society, just to name a few of them. But we also have excellent managers to keep track of all these initiatives, such as the program operators, the donor program partners, the financial mechanism office known as the FMO, and not last but not the least, the national focal points, the NFPs. I thank you for making this event possible. And so we are all a part of this EEA family. But as I said, we did this last year, the first edition of It Takes Two to Tango, and now we have It Takes Two to Tango 2. What did you think, Alexandra, when we actually wanted to expand and we invited Poland to also take part?
Thank you, Katie, for inviting Poland. So maybe some of you already know, but Poland is the biggest beneficiary of this EEA and Norway grant, so it's good to join forces as well. And I'm personally happy to be here and joining you in this second edition, which I hopefully could be a tradition of meeting up and summing up the bilateral cooperation as well, because also showcasing the impact of working together for protecting and promoting our shared values. And I presume we have a lot to learn from each other and all the different initiatives in our respective countries as well. And I would also like what you mentioned, that we are a diverse EEA Norway grants family, and I would just like to acknowledge and thank my excellent Polish partners, those also online, but also those who actually come here today to join us as well, and especially since this week we actually had our closing conference of the EEA Norway grants in Poland, which was a success, and I think we actually had the opportunity to take stocks of our cooperation and celebrate the achievements and the diversity of initiative implemented, so which we will also talk about later.
So, as I said, both me and Alexandra have worked together before, and now we are the only two EE counselors in our ministry, but we're also quite new into the EE grant family. So we have now worked approximately a year. So I don't know, what is your impression after your first year here?
Okay, good question, Katie, because I still feel after more than a year like a newbie in this EEA Norway grants family, and I presume many of you here will be more capable than me in answering these questions. I know in Poland I have colleagues who have been working at since the start, which means more than 20 years now. Yeah.
So, in a way, I think we are also lucky because we came in the end of the previous mechanism. We are in the middle of the making of the new next upcoming mechanism, and we don't know so much about it yet, but we know it will happen. And I think also what we are doing here today is a good starting point to meet each other and talk, because there will be talks, and hopefully it will end up in good programs also in the years to come. And I think now I really have to read because this is important. More than ever, and this is my hope for the next period, more than ever, we must ensure our common values based on human rights and rule of law, to stay on the democratic path and building prosperous and resilient communities together. I wrote it with bold letters because I think it's an important message to take with us. Don't you agree, Alexandra?
Yes. No, and then I would also like just to acknowledge that you have all this initiative and cooperation, but which stands for me at least, which is makes the EEA grants special, it's actually that it's all about the people. And it's so much more than technical assistance compared to what you maybe have in the EU itself as well, and that you actually have the opportunity to speak, you have the opportunity to travel to Norway, but also to your countries as well, and it's about finding a common language of making project work, and which benefits both of lives but also our communities. And then I think it's also what we discussed previously, Kitty. Yeah. It's also when peers-to-peers tend to speak, you're able to find the same language, and also invest in trusting each other. I think it's the key as well, and which also gives the vast opportunities of creating something together. And also I think we were discussing in Poland this week, it's also like that the grants are actually quite flexible, and you have the opportunity to pilot new initiatives and to adapt and respond to new realities and challenges on the ground, which has been for certain thrown your way in this current edition where we had the pandemic, and there was also the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. So, and you also, you already started speaking about the future, and I think that's also for sure the fourth edition of the grants will be a perfect opportunity to strengthen our common European project. And in Poland, we already embarked on framing this fourth edition, and our ambition, even our Polish and Norwegian politicians have said it, that they hope to sign the MOU during spring next year. And I'm sure we will build up the foundation which has been created during the last 3 editions. And I just we were also discussing, because it's like something it's already happened. Maybe some of you already noticed that last month we launched the Civil Society Fund, where there will be more than 300 million euro aimed at strengthening democracy, human rights, and the rule of law across Europe. And we believe at least that civil society is a cornerstone for every society. So stay tuned for more news here as we move ahead.
Yes, thank you, Alexandra. So, I'm sorry, this is falling off my head, the microphone. That was our short introduction. This is about the tango. We have a different kind of tango this year, but before I introduce our artists, I would say that after the artistic opening act, the presentations will start and we will continue, but we will host you safely through it. There is not Takes Two to Tango without the tango, and this year it's a different kind of tango, and I twisted my mind quite a lot to think. Last year we had a couple dancing tango, which is quite obvious. This year it's a metaphoric tango, if I can call it that. It's still about, it needs people. We need to travel, we need to meet each other, we need to discuss, we need to exchange in order to create new things and to have an added value to our doings. So it's a great pleasure for me to present Carina Dulea. She's a PhD candidate in culture studies, researching culture transfer and the role of music in the collective unconscious, with a background in anthropology and communication. She's from Romania. And then we have Kjell Braaten. He's a composer and performer specialized in ancient musical traditions and blending them with modern world influences, best known for his work on projects like Vardruna, who actually I think have played here in Bulgaria, and Nebala, and the soundtracks for Vikings, Valhalla, and the Northman. So please come to the floor, and I'm very happy again to welcoming you all.
Should be? Okay. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction, Kjell, and thank you everyone for having us. This is a wonderful opportunity to be here. Our project is a bit of an experimental piece of music that we have created together. We met during my research in cultural studies and the research that I'm doing with music and the collective unconscious. And we started working together on various projects, one of which is the one that you will see today. It originally started as having a Romanian rain-bringing ritual called the Paparuda at its core, and from there we started building upon it with instruments from pretty much all over Europe, but especially Eastern and Balkanic traditions. The process is a dialogue between cultures, between Romania and Norway, but also a dialogue between the past and the present, and the transition of how we started more and more to incorporate myths into our older folkloric myths, particularly into our everyday lives and cultural creations. So that being said, my side of the project, the singing you will hear, is recorded because we didn't have a lot of time to go into too much today, and we wanted to provide as flawless as a presentation as we possibly can. But Kjell will be performing a few Norwegian ancient instruments for you today live. Thank you again, and I really hope you enjoy our presentation.
Mm-hmm. Rudă, rudă, vino de neudă, ca să înceapă ploaie, să curgă și roaie. Cu leata, leata, peste toată zloata, unde dă cu maiul, să crească mălaiul, unde dă cu sapa, să curgă ca apa, ca să cază ploile, ploaie, să curgă și roaie, cu găleata leata, peste toată zloata, unde dă cu maiul, să crească mălaiul, unde dă cu sapa, să curgă ca apa, ca să căză ploile cu gălețile. Paparudă rudă, paparudă rudă, ca să căză ploile cu gălețile. Paparudă rudă, paparudă rudă, ca să căză ploile cu gălețile. Paparudă rudă, zaie să și udă, paparudă rudă, zaie să și udă. Paparudă rudă, vino de neudă, ca să înceapă ploaie, să curgă și roaie, cu găleata leata, peste toată zloata, unde dă cu maiul, să crească mălaiul, unde dă cu sapa, să curgă ca apa, ca să căză ploile cu gălețile. Paparudă rudă, paparudă rudă, ca să căză ploile cu gălețile. Paparudă rudă, paparudă rudă, ca să căză ploile cu gălețile. Paparudă rudă, zaie să și udă, paparudă rudă, zaie să și udă.
I'm on? Yep. So that was really another kind of tango. Thank you so much, Carina and Kjell. I have a strong feeling that this is not the last we hear from this cooperation, so please keep us posted. I'm very curious. And I think we all needed this, and it gave some good feelings inside. That's in a worrying time, that is very needed. Thank you. And then it's my great pleasure to invite Ivan Ivanov to say a few words on behalf of the NFPs. Thank you.
Is that it's very hard to speak after such a moving and outstanding performance, to have a kind of a boring speech or something. So I'll try to cut it to be as short as possible. And the truth is that when I start to consider my opening for today, what actually came into my mind was a phrase from an old movie, one of my favorites, Casablanca. Louis, I think that this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. So if I may paraphrase it, Katie, I think that it's a beginning of a very beautiful tradition out here. Because last year we were only the embassy in Bucharest and the Bulgarian side, and now we have also our friends from Poland and Romania. I also see Thomas and the team from the Swiss office of the Bulgarian-Swiss Cooperation Program. So it's great to have you with us. Dobre došli, welcome in our country. And I think that is what we discuss in the polls, that we are living in challenging times, and it's great to be together and to have this opportunity to speak, to share. It's much easier to deal with everything when we are together and we share common values and priorities. So my team prepared me some figures about the successful implementation of the EEA and Norway grants, and it was very successful indeed. We managed to do a lot of good stuff here, but I think that there is one figure which is very, very important. It's the figure of 70%, and this is the percentage of the projects which we've done with the partnership with the donor states, and I think that this is the symbol of our common business, that we are doing something together, that it's not only about convergence, about the development of our countries, but also of sharing values, sharing experience, lessons learned, and trying to do something together. And I think that there was a question in the very beginning, what do you sense when the Bulgarian and Norway grants are mentioned? And I think that for me, it's sitting on the table and trying to do something in partnership. So this is the symbolism, and of course, being successful as a result of that. And I think that this is also the best epitome of the Tango, because Tango takes two. They should trust each other, going together, sharing a direction, synchronicity under the music, and in the very beginning, creating something meaningful and beautiful, which I think that is the best symbol of this passionate Argentinian dance. So I'm going to stop here, and I would like to use the opportunity to thank once again to the Norwegian Embassy in Bucharest, to thank also to my team for this organization and having the opportunity of being together in this beautiful hall, and to welcome once again our friends from Poland and Romania. And I really hope that you're going to have a lot of warm memories from today's event and our country on your way back home. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivan. So now it's time for the communicators to have their presentations. So I'd like to invite Tonya and Jan and Alexandra and Joanna, if you can please come and take the stage. And I will not talk so much more. They will introduce themselves and each other. And after the session, there will also be opening for the Q&A, questions and answers, as I said. And so we get the techniques in order. And Tonya, the floor is yours.
Hello. I have never visited Norway. This is the first thing I have to say. And when I started doing this, I was wondering how to tell a story about cooperating with people from a country I have never seen. And I can tell you one thing from traveling all over the world, that you don't get to know a country while sightseeing. You get to know a country while talking to the people, to the real people. So I'm a TV journalist, and in TV they teach us that the viewers want to see themselves on TV. So this is what I'm going to do right now, tell you a story about you. You're the main characters, how I see you. I will not give you many data, numbers, and so on. You can find this online. But I will tell you the story of cooperation through emotions, through impressions, first impressions, through specific stories. Some of the characters I will present are here with us, and I'm sure they are curious to see what I have chosen from their stories. And these are people who are completely different, who have completely different professions, who work in completely different spheres. But you will see at the end that there is a common line going through all the three projects I want to talk about. The first project I titled myself, for me, as a revolution, because for Bulgaria this is really a revolution, a prison without bars. Thanks to this mechanism, thanks to the EEA, for the first time in Bulgaria, a prison was built in 60 years, and not just a prison, but a prison in a Norwegian model taken from Adger prison, which combines training center, prison facilities and social programs, and a prison which is not for the inmates, a prison which is for our whole society, because the better we do the job inside the prison, the better the security system in Bulgarian society is. So the main heroes in these stories are Nadia and Christine. Nadia from the main Directorate of Punishments in Bulgaria, and Christine from the Correctional Services in Norway. This is what they had to say. No sound? There is no way to do without technical problems. I hope they fix it. Should I try again? So sorry.
All right, Tonya, this is an excellent example of challenges when we are working together. So it's not always smooth and easy, but I know that with the help from the
I'm
partners
sure they will fix it
and the experts, we are very soon back on track, right?
I hope.
Yeah, they are working hard here. And this is a tango, a different kind. Yeah.
Sometimes you step on each other, but this is the beauty of tango.
Yes, yes. So we have any luck here? Mm. So let's prioritize the sound in the room if we can. Mm. Okay, may I ask how many of you have been involved in bilateral projects? If you raise a hand. Okay. And how many of you have danced tango? Okay, we have 2, 3, 4-ish. Okay. How many have been to Norway? Oh. How many have been to Romania? Okay, that's a nice number. How many have been to Poland? Oh, I forgot my hands here. And well, you are all here in Bulgaria, so it's stupid to ask who have been to Bulgaria. But my experience after 1 year in working with Romania and Bulgaria and also Moldova is that it's not only about the capitals. I like to maybe to raise that we need also to travel around and see the rest of these beautiful countries, because it's a lot to offer here.
This is what we're going to see. This prison is built in Samuranovo, on the outskirts of Rila Mountain, close to Dupnica, and it was built on former military barracks. You can imagine what it looked like when the project started, and it is a complete miracle to transform it. You will see how this looks like now. And for Bulgaria, and I'm sure when the broader public sees this prison, it we will be astonished, and there will be a lot of polemics. And I think the biggest stories from this prison will come up when it is opened and inmates get to live there and to experience this new system of punishment.
And people.
Yes, it's about the people. You have the chance to see, if we manage to play the video, to see at first hand how this looks like and how it has never been done in Bulgaria. And it's really experimental. And you know, the Bulgarian prison system is not so developed. We have old-fashioned methods, and this is not an evolution, this is just a jump in the future with this prison and what was accomplished. And I hope people will appreciate the philosophy behind this way of building the prison, the way it is organized, because at the core is the philosophy, and that forgiveness is inside us first and foremost, and then outside of us. So it is a process to build yourself up from what you have done wrong in the past, how the people working in the system help us, how the society helps, and this is all combined in one huge complex that was a former military barrack, and people have done miracles really with such a short amount of time with COVID and everything else. And I really thought that I don't need to tell you this, and you will see it first and then discuss it. And I hope the video can show everything I'm talking about. The idea behind these videos is to have people, to have people who are talking about working together and at the same time seeing the results of their work, which is very important because the results are the most important, and the people who will benefit from this work. You will see that
sound, but
no matter how different we are, Norway far away in the north of Europe, and we, Bulgaria, down in southeastern Europe.
Okay, you get the sound now?
We have something, we have so many similarities. So, should I stop talking and play the video?
Just applause for the technicians.
Yes.
They did
Thank
a
you
good
so
job
much
now.
for the patience.
Thank you.
We have quite different systems. In Norway, the prison officer's role is quite different from Bulgaria, and not only from Bulgaria, also from other countries. So it's not like Bulgaria is an exception. I think it's more Norway being an exception. But in Norway, the prison officer's role is broader because we have one prison officer who is responsible both for the security but also for the serving of the sentence. So the prison officer is not only, locking and unlocking doors, taking care of the security. The prison officer is also responsible for the rehabilitation of the prisoner, for, assisting with practical issues, explaining legal issues, helping the prisoner to fill in applications, to plan for the release.
So looking at this, you see a place that resembles a seaside resort. But in fact, there is no compromise with the security measures. And the most interesting aspect for both sides was the so-called dynamic security, the way the guards interact with the prisoners. Nadia was telling me a story how they visited the Adgar prison in Norway and they saw the guards playing cards with the inmates, which was something unthinkable for Bulgarian prison system. And there is a really meaningful philosophy behind this, that this is part of communicating closely with the inmates, not making friends with them, but it's part of the control and of building up the life of the inmates after the punishment is finished. So Kristin will tell us more about this.
In the society, you also have people who understand, our philosophy is that the loss of freedom, that is the punishment. You have lost your freedom, you are put into prison for the crime you have committed, and that is the punishment. But besides that, our understanding and philosophy is that the life in prison should resemble the life in the outside in the normal society as much as possible. We call this the principle of normalization. I think in Bulgaria, where there are, quite big differences between people, and there is also a problem of poverty. Of course, this is something that I would assume that many people would say when they see this prison on TV, that that it's not fair, and I understand that. But at the same time, when you build a new prison, you have to build according to modern standards, and you have to build a prison for the future.
So, and here is the Bulgarian take. We are famous with doing something really big out of nothing, so inventive. Maybe this is due to our years under communist rules when there are so many restrictions, due to the years of many financial crises where we learned to be inventive. So the Bulgarian team really did miracles with this, which was so surprising for the Norwegians. And this is something maybe the Norwegians can learn from us, how flexible we are, how easily we can change the main idea, come up with something new, and here is what Nadia will tell us.
Няма да скрия от вас, че все пак, идвайки от скандинавската част на света, в източноевропейската и по-южната част, която ние чисто културално вярваме, че няма невъзможни неща. Нали, когато видяха част от терените и сградите, те просто казаха, че това няма как да стане. Нали. Особено тук, когато дойдохме, когато видяха мащабите, казаха, не, това просто не би било възможно, особено и нали, с времето, което разполагаме, финансирането и така нататък. Когато се съберат две страни, които, как да кажа, имат коража да гледат в бъдещето, нещата се случват.
So this is the most expensive project I have chosen and the most surprising for Bulgaria, but the next one I will start the story for it with a quote. One book, one pen, one teacher and one child, and you can change the world. This is what Malala Yousafzai said, and the heroes there are Daniela and Lilian, who know each other for a very long time and work together to teach the Bulgarian kids how to speak up for themselves and how to take responsibility for what they speak about. So this is a project for increasing democratic education and education on human rights, with creating online resources for education of not only pupils but also teachers and representatives of local institutions. And it was implemented in 4 pilot cities: Vršac, Goce Delchev, Blagoevgrad, and Montana. If you know Bulgaria, you know that these are not very developed regions in Bulgaria, especially in northwestern Bulgaria, where students don't have much resources to do that, and they have enjoyed a completely different approach that the Norwegians introduced for us, and you will see that through the words of Daniel and Lilian.
Гражданското образование и образованието по права на човека, въпреки че е застъпено в нашето училище, на практика е доста формално и работейки в неформалното образование, решихме, че това е една възможност да направим повече по темата.
This project that we were focusing on now is an extremely important project, because it has the aim of increasing the democratic competence and human rights knowledge for young people in Bulgaria. And of course, this is extremely important nowadays in our times, not just in Bulgaria, all over Europe, in Scandinavia, in Norway, and all over the world. The democracy is under pressure, and if we are to develop our democracies, we really need democratic citizens.
You can imagine how important their work is in Bulgaria, where we have a political crisis and we are on the verge of the 8th snap elections in just 4 years. I have a daughter who is 20 years, and teaching her how she can exercise her right to vote and how she can understand how the democratic process works was a completely difficult task for me, and this is something really missing here in Bulgaria. So the differences with the Norwegians is the schools in Norway, students are much more active. They are don't afraid to speak up in front of their teachers. While in Bulgaria we have a teacher who is just teaching theories, students are listening and then learning what they have heard from the teacher and prepare for the exam. A completely different method, which is not so much inclusive, and you will be amazed to see how much the students in Bulgaria enjoyed this, and the most important part for a person to speak up and to feel free to express himself is when you create a safe environment. This is what they try to do with this project.
Видяхме, че малката общност е на практика организирана до такава степен в образованието на децата в училищата, че почти всички институции участват по някакъв начин. Музеите, например, също са включени, но не просто като посещение на различни експонати или изложби, а като едни постоянни програми за образование, и то образование в демокрация. Много се цени в Норвегия обучението по гражданско образование. Много е важно за тях младите хора да разберат какво означават демократични нагласи, как да гласуват, как да изразяват мнение, как да бъдат свободни да избират.
But I think for quite some years there has been more focus on taking the kids in Norwegian schools out in the society, using the institutions in society. take them to libraries, take them to museums, take them out, go to exhibitions, so they can use the surroundings. And of course, this is extremely important when it comes to democracy education, because the democracy is all the society. And this was also what we wanted in this project, where teachers and museums in Bulgaria cooperated in making good possibilities for the youngsters to create a lot of very creative activities. And I must say that the teachers I have met in the Bulgarian projects have been very open-minded and very good in using the participatory methods, empowering the pupils to take part and really being very active. I find the teachers that I have met in this project very, very positive and very playable, if I can say.
So you see that they include in the process of education the local institutions, museums, municipalities, something we are not doing here. Our kids travel to schools, but just for fun and not educational purposes. And the most interesting thing is that when they compared the results from the same project in Bulgaria and Norway, the results are pretty similar. So the fact is that kids are really enjoying these participatory methods and being included in the educational process and not just listening to the teacher what he has to say.
Допира до хората всъщност наистина ги вдъхнови. Това, което видяха и което всички ние виждаме, има много стереотипи, има много предразсъдъци, но ние говорим за тези неща и част от обучението беше всъщност да въведем и една процедура как се води диалог, нещо, което всички вярваме, че много липсва.
I feel that the youngsters in this project have been very open-minded and have been very active. Of course, all young people are a little bit shy in the beginning. So that is why participatory methods, we have to learn them. We have to learn how to do it. And very important is to create a positive and safe and nice atmosphere so everybody can feel they are safe in this space. And when they feel safe, they want to participate. They want to come up with their opinions. They want the others to listen. And of course, we have learned about the Bulgarian society. And people are often saying, oh, what's the difference with the different countries, etc. But very often I find that so much is similar, you know. The youngsters are similar. There are not so big difference between, you know, Bulgarian youngsters and Norwegian youngsters, you know, they are.
And the third story is about our Black Sea. It is unpredictable, it is rough, just like the Bulgarian people, but we are very welcoming. During this project, both Norwegians and Bulgarians made discoveries, and discoveries which are not discovery for us is not a discovery for Norway. So we made different discoveries. For us, we discovered a clam that was thought to be distinct in the Black Sea, which is a proof that the waters of the Black Sea are recovering and they are clean, despite all the notions that we have in our mind because of the war in Ukraine. And it is interesting that the discovery for Norway was not the clam, because the Norwegians don't know the Black Sea species. And you wonder why the Norwegians, who have 6 seas around their country would be interested in the Bulgarian Black Sea, and you will see why.
I must say that it is completely different, and that makes it exciting, of course. You have the anoxic, or the area with no oxygen, at very shallow depth, from 120 meters and down. In Norway, we have the most similar environment would be the fjords, that are deep basins with restricted exchange of water. So that is a similar setting, but you have a whole ocean that is in a way a fjord with a narrow passage. So the water exchange is not so good below a certain depth.
Те си сътвърдиха тази информация, която имат, че Черно море е непредсказуемо. Когато проведоха експедициите, конкретно за миналата година, когато проведохме експедицията през август, те казаха, че наистина ден за ден морето е различно. Нали, прогнозата, ако дава хубаво време, излизат на терен и нямат възможност да вземат проби, защото е много лошо времето. Вълнението е силно. На следващия ден, както казват, морето е тава, този израз, който се използва.
So Stella is from the Basin Directorate in Varna, and Lene is from Marine Institute in Norway. And in this project participated also the Naval Academy Nikola Vaptsarov. Of course, there is no project without problems. First, the war in Ukraine, which made all the expeditions somehow dangerous, and it limited the scope of the research that the scientists were able to make. The next problem is they got so much money so fast, Lene told me, that they had to go really fast through the project and through the expedition, and the ship the Bulgarian ship, Kjell and Metodi, had to go to the Antarctic. So it was not easy, but the results were worth it.
Добра новина за научната общност, за нас като администрация, която се занимава с опазване на морската околна среда, защото както и по нашите наблюдения, които провеждаме от националния мониторинг на морските води, така и от изследванията на учените, може да се заключи, че през последните години постепенно намалява замърсяването в Черно море и черноморската екосистема се възстановява.
And this was not expected, and I like the good news. I didn't know that this was not to be expected. So it was one of our colleagues from the Naval Academy. She was saying, wow, it's alive. Because shells hang around with, they are dead, many of them. You have big areas of only dead shells. So it's hard to know, are they alive or not? But when you meet these clams, you can see when you get close to them, they close themselves, and that is the proof that they are alive. So yes, people were very excited on board, and the Bulgarians, as we Norwegians, didn't actually know that this particular species was supposed to be extinct. I must say my own strongest experience was this finding of a more coral reef looking area with a high diversity. So this was so cool. It was in that area. And people on board were saying that some divers have reported that they've seen beautiful bottom habitats. And we documented this very nicely.
So, a story about the punishment, how it has to be humane. A story about education that shows no one is too small to make a difference. And a story about a sea that cannot be restrained. So, if there are more people who share the same values, no matter how different they are, there is no power that can restrain them. This is what the story about the Black Sea showed us. And there is no power that can restrain people who share values and who are humane. This is the story about the prison that showed us. And of course, everything starts from the very small age. You have to take care of that in the school, while people are building up themselves, and to know what is wrong, what is good, what is bad, and to know how to behave and how to respect each other. So you see, we're quite different. Everybody has different impressions, but when you share the same values, the result is always good. And now I was too long, and I'm sorry, but in TV, the moment they give us airtime, we try to use it as much as we can, and we cannot pass the microphone to the others very easily. So now it's Jan's time from Poland, and I would like to introduce him.
Thank you, Tonia. It's actually my time and Ola's time, at least for a moment, to tell you a bit more about EEA grants and Norway grants in Poland. So I think we can begin, Ola.
Since we are the newbies, as I already mentioned, we wanted to bore you with some facts about Poland and the EEA grants there, and I've stolen some slides from our closing conference provided by the National Focal Point, just to give you a better understanding of the diversity of the program, because as mentioned, Poland is the biggest beneficiary country, and we have so many programs, and so many projects, so it's really hard to get a sense of what kind of is the red line. But I think it's like also is shown by Bulgaria as well, the project you have chosen as well, it's about building resilient and inclusive society. And we don't have an ocean in the same degree as you, but we have many of the same components at the halfway house and the education part as well. And one important part of the project in Poland, it's the partnerships. And I think in Poland, like everyone has understood the value of having partnerships in the programs. And you see how many actually, here we have a list, 683 number of the project with a partner, either from Iceland, Liechtenstein, or Norway. And that's actually been successful. We already know that 90% of those being engaged in some kind of bilateral cooperation wants to continue in the next edition as well. And then you have even more numbers of the project partners from our respective donor countries as well. And so by that, I would just want to hand it over to Jan as well to tell you about the project you have chosen to showcase the grant itself. And I just want to kind of introduce Jan as well. But before I do that, I just also want to say that there's already been mentioned as well, but it seems that we have crisis and challenging occurring more lately than before, and that's kind of the new normal. And I think it's unfortunate, but on the positive side, it kind of helps us and motivates us to work together and also to build our society and communities more resilient and inclusive as well. And I just, for those of you who doesn't know, he's an excellent journalist, focusing namely on the Northern Europe as well, and everything related to it as well. And he's a Scandinavian literature scholar by education, and also focusing a lot of Sweden. And between Sweden and Norway, we have a very normal competition. So of course, we want Jan to be a more fan of Norway than Sweden. So who could be a better candidate for our communication project? So I give the floor to you, Jan.
Thank you. One fun fact about me, in recent times I work a bit more with Denmark. So it seems I'm a perfect person to tell you a bit more about Norway grants in Poland, as Ola said. Well, firstly, I'm very happy to be here. I'm very glad. It's a big honor for me, and I'm even more happy to see that so many people are interested in how Norway grants are implemented in Bulgaria, Romania, and last but not least, Poland. As Ola said, I work at radio. I'm a radio journalist, so I basically work with sounds. And we have decided to put these stories about Norway grants into sounds in a pretty simple but good way, I believe. This project, in contrary to what already has happened in Romania and Bulgaria, is still in the making, it's still on its way, but that doesn't mean we are not ready at all. You will find out in a minute. We have decided to go for live on-air interviews, and as you can see, something called content on demand. In radio language, content on demand is a podcast, basically, because besides my journalistic work, I'm podcast producer too. Both within the radio and outside the radio, I host podcasts for University of Social Sciences, I believe the English name is for that university in Warsaw. So we decided to go for three main areas. I call it areas, as you can see, in order to show the diversity of these projects in Poland. It's culture / history. Now I would say more it's culture and history. You will see why in a second. Then green transition, and last, but again not least, security policy. What is already done is this, as you will see, first project called Jewish Cultural Heritage, conducted by Polin. This is Museum of the History of Polish Jews, as well as with Norwegian partners. That was radio interview with one of the implementers. I will discuss it more in detail in a second. And two projects that are still waiting for, so to say, their turn is this green transition and security policy, but I still will tell you a bit more about them. Why not to begin now? Oh, okay. Which one? Okay. We're safe and sound. So, security policy. We have chosen project by two institutions. From the Polish side, Kazimierz Pułaski Foundation and the Norwegian Institute of International Affairs. This was, well, project, actually more of a report, working paper published by Norwegian and Polish scholars, researchers, published this summer. Here you can see the cover of this report. Yeah. And why to prepare that report at all? So the main goal, the main aim was to map perceptions of Poland and Norway, Norway in Poland and Poland in Norway, in order to establish maybe some approaches to security policy, both in Poland and in Norway. This is especially important after February 2022, as you may know, because we are in very close of Russia's neighborhood and we look very seriously on that thing. The name of that project was, well, kind of funny. It was a shortcut, Norpol Factor, which is Norwegian-Polish factor. The full name was, of the project was Norway and Poland as actors in changing security landscape. And indeed, this security landscape is changing since 2022. And the main goal was to develop knowledge of the security-related challenges, risks, and threats Poland and, unfortunately, Norway may also face in the future from the Russian side. This project is still waiting for its turn. I have some guests on my short list to interview on the radio. We will see if they will want to do it. I hope so. I named also this Green Transition project, and this was something slightly different, I would say. This is a series of workshops, meetings, maybe small Q&A sessions in Krakow. By the way, I was born in Krakow. It was a joint project by University of Science and Technology in Krakow and the University of Oslo from the Norwegian side. The meetings took place in summer this year, I believe. And this project was very important for both actors, Norwegian actors and Polish actors. And the main goal was to create somehow deeper ties and think a moment and maybe how to cooperate a bit closer between industry and academia. And this is something we need very, very much in case of green transition and this technology, carbon capture and storage technology. So how opportunities for Poland and Norway look like in that case. Still waiting for its turn. However, what is not waiting for its turn, is this project. Polin. You may know this building. This is building of the, well, I would say that famous Polish Museum of the History of Polish Jews. Why famous? This museum was Europe's Museum of the Year, 2016, I believe, or 17. And the project, that was the second edition of this project called Jewish Cultural Heritage, curated by Polin, Museum of the History of Polish Jews, and Norwegian partners. I will name them in a second, but first, let me talk a bit more about the main aim of this project. And as you can read, probably the main aim of this project was to, let me quote, recover the past and shape the future. And as a matter of fact, this motto is the motto of the whole museum. So this project was kind of part of museum's work. I did radio interview with the project leader of this program, Lucia Koch, and she said that in 4 years, because this project lasted 4 years, it was about 80% of museum's work. So huge project, huge money too, you will find out in a second. And very important because the thinking was to enhance our Polish awareness of Jewish history. I don't know if you are familiar with this history, but Jews were a very important and big part of Polish society before the Second World War. And then after the Second World War, they, disappeared. So that's why the goal was to recover the past. Let me begin with some data. Project promoter was obviously Polin. It's already completed. The project lasted 50 months from 2020 to 2024. And the final project cost, look at the numbers once again. Ola told us a bit about numbers. Here comes some more. Nearly 10 million euros from the EEA grants and from Norway and from Polish state budget. I told something about Norwegian strategic partners. There was actually only one extra Polish partner, that was Jewish Historical Institute in Warsaw, and the Norwegian partners, among others, Jewish Museum in Oslo or in Trondheim. And as I already said, Lucia told during this interview, radio interview, that this project made about 80% of a museum's work in those years, 2020 to 2024. So that was a big project, and big projects require good strategic thinking. Obviously, it was not one program, there were several programs. I have chosen those most interesting, I believe, programs for teachers and students. Because of the history, Polish history, and that Jews were very important and integral part of Polish society before the Second World War, it is, I believe, obligatory in Polish school to teach about this Jewish heritage we have in Poland. So it's quite obvious this project had a program for teachers and students, and Lucia told me that the main goal was to listen to teachers in Poland and provide them with suitable tools so that they can share the knowledge and the story of Polish Jews in maybe more, fun way, fun for kids, so that they understand it better, not necessarily reading from books, boring, usually historical books. One thing that is connected to that topic, namely programs for teachers and students, we may have forgotten that, but this project began in the year 2020, and 2020, that was the beginning of COVID too, and lockdown. I don't know how it was in Bulgaria, neither in Romania or in Norway, but these two first lockdowns in Poland were very harsh. And actually, Poland was one of the first institutions in Poland that made it possible to stream lessons online via programs and like Zoom or Skype, something we take for granted today. I mean, this meeting is live streamed today, and nothing, nothing weird, nothing different from what we do every day, basically. But then, 4 years ago, it was kind of something new, and Poland was one of the first institutions in Poland doing something like that. But Lucia underlined that this was possible thanks to Norway grants, exactly. And it made possible one more thing, namely Poland could expand their work outside of the Warsaw. And here we come to next part, which is so-called Museum on Wheels, traveling exhibition. There were 3 main activities: exhibitions, Museum on Wheels, so it was like Poland in box, presented in smaller Polish cities outside of the Warsaw. Exhibition, they risked their lives about Polish writers among the nations who helped Jews during the Second World War. And last, they fill no space. As you can see, 473 events accompanying exhibitions like workshops, sessions, concerts, screenings, so on and so forth. This was also possible thanks to EEA and Norway grants. Why is this so important? In Poland, we tend to think in the context of capital city. I mean, it's nothing special for Poland, I believe. It's usually like that, but world outside of Warsaw is interesting too. And this is why this was important. Museum on Wheels made it possible to reach smaller communities and provide an opportunity to discuss local history. And this local history is very important, as you will see in a minute, because there are many smaller cities or villages in Poland that were inhabited by Jews before the Second World War, and after the war, as you may imagine, their inhabitants just disappeared. So this is important to remember about them and remember about these places. Yeah. The daffodils, social campaign, daffodil, this little yellow flower, żonkil in Polish. The first edition was in 2013. It's mainly in Warsaw, I believe, although I may be wrong, but I believe it's mainly in Warsaw. Lucia told me about very important social change. This event helps to continue the knowledge of the ghetto uprising and Shoah. Lucia told me about important social change now compared to year 2013, so 10 years later, 15% more Poles believe that the ghetto uprising in Warsaw was an important event in Polish history, not only Jewish history, but Polish history. since Jews were an important part of Polish history, this is integral part of Polish history too. And last but not least, something what may interest you, maybe people from Romania, from Bulgaria in the future, why not? Crossing borders. It was a network for cooperation, a project of, program rather, of building an international network for cooperation for people working with Jewish history, heritage, culture, popularization of all that in Poland, Norway, but also in other European countries. And last but not least, two websites that are part of this project. Actually, Virtual Shtetl was created 15 years ago, I believe. This is a map on the internet where you can see these smaller communities, villages that were mainly Jewish before the war, and it helps to keep the remembrance, basically, of them. And Polish writers about people who risked their lives, basically, and during the Second World War in Poland saved thousands, sometimes thousands of Jews. I have a photo. If you will be in Poland, if you will be in Poland at some time, and if you will decide to visit Poland Museum of the History of Polish Jews, there is, I believe it's original medal awarded, a medal that Irana Sendler was awarded. She was recognized by the State of Israel as Righteous Among the Nations in the middle 60s. And she was a Polish nurse who saved about 2,500 Jews during the Second World War. And this medal is displayed in the Poland, together with other very interesting objects. You have already seen that some numbers, but numbers are usually boring, but they are impressive somewhat. So let's have a look on that. 10 million euros, approximately 9,800,000. That was the cost of the grant from the EEA and from Norway and from Polish state budget. Impressive 6,670,000 participants of this project in Poland and in Norway. Well over 10,000 events, actually it's closer to 11,000 events during the 50 months of project's duration. And to wrap up my part, my Polish part, let me quote one man, Dariusz Stola, professor, Polish historian and former director of Poland Museum of the History of Polish Jews. He said once, "We are not responsible for a past on which we had no influence. However, we are responsible for what we do about the past today." You remember this quotation, recover the past and shape the future. And thanks to Norway grants, I believe, I mean this is my personal opinion, but I believe you will agree with me on that, it was possible to shape this future through the knowledge, but maybe most importantly, it was possible to recover the past, which otherwise would be lost. Thank you for that, and thank you for your time. Now it's time for travel, I believe. I don't know how long distance is from Joanna, from Poland to Romania, but let's say about 1,000 kilometers and something like that?
It's a 2-hour flight.
2 hours flight, okay. We don't have that much time. We have, I believe, 10 seconds to wrap your pilot. Okay. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to my colleagues in Bulgaria and Poland for setting up such a comprehensive background to the bilateral cooperation with Norway. And I would also like to thank the Norwegian Embassy in Romania for giving me the opportunity to say, "Hi Siri," and have a human being answering back to me. we talk about tango, and we agreed that it takes two to tango. The question is how the partners should be built in order to create that tension, that passion, that harmony that is so specific to tango. Well, it takes time, but yeah. So the question is, can two countries so different do a proper tango? Well, yes, it's the right. It's definitely the right. So, this is what we think about Norway. A northern country, high mountains, mysterious fjords, stories about elves and trolls, the original trolls, not the ones that we know. On the other hand, we have Romania, jolly southern country, funny people, castles, of course, dragons, paparude, and vampires. Vampires. Do you know what this is? This is a letter signed by Vlad the Impaler himself, brought to us by one of the Norwegian partners who took a picture and made it his background on his laptop. Well, these are our two countries. What else do we know about ourselves? No, I missed one. Yes. How do our people react in society? In blue you have the Norway, in red you have Romania, and this is the index of the civil participation. Norway is high, Romanians are still discovering the power in numbers. Why is this? Because we relate to each other differently. In blue, Norway with a very high social trust. In red, the Romanians going up and down, but at a very, very large distance from the Norwegians. Where are the women in our societies? And here we have the share of women in parliament across the years. What you see there, the peak of the presence of Romanians, again, Norway in blue, Romanian in red. The peak you see in the presence of women in parliament, it's overlapping with the 80s, when the communist regime actually pushed the women into high positions in order to satisfy the personality cult of Comrade Ceausescu. We'll come back to her. Comrade the she Ceausescu. Let's compare some more. Let's take three different domains. The fiscal fraud and corruption. What you have here is the perception of corruption. Norway in blue, Romanian in red. Higher the level, lower the corruption. So the index is done in reverse. Again, you can see the gap. Digital skills. Norway is on 5th position. Romania, it's easy to spot in the end. As you can see, we lack in skills, we lack in human capital, we lack in digital public service. We are quite well on connectivity. We have one of the highest internet speeds in Europe and in the world. Let's take, again, women playing football. On the left you have Norway, on the right you have Romania. 10,000 registered players in Norway, 1,500 registered players in Romania. And the most telling figure is on the third column, the 50 women in the high-level executive positions in Norway. Third column in Romania, what do we see? Nothing. So, this is how our girls are playing football. We selected these 3 domains because they are very powerful in showing how different our countries are. But these are the figures. Set aside the figures for the time being and let's talk to the people. We have selected 3 projects in these 3 areas and we interviewed partners working in this project. What you are going to receive from now on is their words. It's not exactly the products or the outcomes of the projects, it's the meta-product, the human feeling of this project, what the partners thought. So, the first project was conducted by Expert Forum, a Romanian NGO, the Norwegian Institute for Journalism, and they coordinated together, they ran together this strong community of investigators against organized crime and corruption. Basically, they put together policemen, prosecutors, investigators of all sorts, and journalists, and discussed how to fight corruption in our respective countries. The second project is about digitalization. It's called Archiving by Design, how to prepare the archive system in order to cope with the challenges of digitalization. And we had 2 equal partners, the National Archives of Romania and the National Archives of Norway. The third project is about girls playing football. We had the Romanian National Football Federation and the Football Association of Norway, and they worked together to train coaches for the girls playing football. It's not only the registered players, but also how to promote this kind of culture and this kind of sport in Romania. What do they think that makes us different? We saw the figures. Let's take a look of what they have to say. And with your permission, I will move to reading because I would like to have the most accurate quotes. And by quotes, I mean exactly their words. What makes us different? Point number 1, punctuality and thinking ahead. Planning ahead, deciding on a plan or even an event agenda and stick it to the minute. This assures order, predictability, and healthier life and work balance. They, meaning the Norwegians, are more relaxed, calmer, steady. We are all the time in a hurry under the pressure of a killer deadline, said one Romanian participant. Planning, that's a very good skill to have in archiving, in fighting corruption, and in playing football. What else makes us different? Transparency and openness. With laws dating back to 1789, freedom of expression and access to information became a staple of Norwegian society. In Romania, we're still fighting with secret mania. For us, all information should be secret because if it's not secret, it's not valuable anymore. It is easier to do your job when the government gives you the information you need and when you don't fear for your life when you investigate crimes, said one Romanian journalist. For us, it was kind of a shock to see that the register of requests in public, of the requests is public, said one Romanian. Can you imagine to have a register public? Oh my God. For us, it would be a no-no, a very strong no-no, continued that person. Transparency also affects the social hierarchy. Yours seems to be more formal, more vertical. Wherever is a boss in the room, the other people don't talk. Everybody is waiting for the boss to talk. This is the Romanian thinking. Our society is flatter. Everybody around the table has a saying, we can share easily our views, said the Norwegian. The Romanian laughed. Oh, good for you. We only recently got rid of the rubber stamp. Do you remember the rubber stamp? We still have it. There is a certain shyness of Romanian women, especially in the presence of men. Not that they are inferior. It's like they prefer not to show up or not to show off when there is a man in the room. Try to gather at an event, a mixed group of 20, and you end up with 18 men and 2 women, said the Norwegian partner. Open the same event for just women and you'll have 25 women lined up for the event. Misogynism is still an issue, and it is prevalent when the women try to enter what is considered the boys' space, the boys' realm. For example, in sports. One Norwegian said, you Romanians have wonderful, wonderful women athletes in tennis, in fencing, in handball, in all sports, and they are shining beautifully. But try to let women play football, and then you will see misogynism. To the usual hate speech and rough language routinely associated with people's commentaries in sports, we have to add and cope with the misogynistic messages, said a Romanian participant. By the way, do you know that the head of the Norwegian Football Association is a lady? See? You know, remember the 50 persons there? And even our approach to sport is different. As a Norwegian participant said, we are playing for fun. When we play at the grassroots, we are gathering kids and teaching them about, sports and discipline and feeling good together and communicating and mitigating conflicts on the field. You are scouting for talent. You are just handpicking who looks to be more talented and invest all energies in that person. We are playing sports for fun. And the person mentioned is not only about Romanians, it's about most European countries, investing in just the talented. Well, what you see here is a picture taken by myself at the football game between the women's football teams of Romania and Poland. They won. Sorry. What you see there is the gallery of people coming, of supporters who came to support the Romanian team with that logo or slogan that is always present at the football games. Let the girls play whatever they want. Lăsați fetele să joace ce vor. In Romania. Well, how can we tango if we are that different? Any ideas? Are we really that different? Let's hear from the same people. Hello. We are not. And a Norwegian person said, all most of us know about your country is the beggars in the street. Not very flattering, but being there, we know what has happened. And it is so unfair. More people should come and visit to see for themselves how wrong that image is, that Norwegian partner said. Because we are not that different. We are like-minded and our interests are similar. The partnerships created under this bilateral cooperation started from people talking to people. And usually, because remember, our hierarchy is more vertical, it started with bosses talking to bosses. Well, it's about bosses, but if this is the situation, it's good to have bosses that think the same. Our level of competence is also similar. And this is something very, very powerful that all the people I talked to mentioned. My Romanian colleagues brilliantly managed a very complicated schedule to make the things work out and our lives simpler. Here's another voice. We are as good and as prepared as they are. If tomorrow I decide to work in another country, I can be as successful as they are. Here's another quote. It is very heartening that there are a lot of very good, competent women in all the walks of life in Romania, and it makes me pleasure to see them shining, said the Norwegian partner. And another one said, the Romanians have created things we haven't thought about and that we easily could use, things that we had not done. If we translate whatever they have prepared into Norwegian, we can use it from today on. So all in all, we are as competent as the Norwegians. Even our troops are as competent as theirs. We start with the idea that Romania is a corrupt country and Norway is a very clear-cut, transparent, orderly country. When we put investigators together, the Romanian investigator said, what can we learn from these guys? Their job is easy. They should come to learn from us because we have the tough fighting the troops. But at a certain moment, they realized that the financial investigative tools are the same, irrespective of the fact that you apply them to restaurants, football clubs, or real estates in Romania, in Norway, or anywhere in the world. There came a moment of mutual acceptance, one of the participants said. And you can feel that moment of, in a room. But if corruption and nepotism are the same, the way we look at them is different. For Norwegians, it's a matter of system and how to make it resistant to corruption. For Romania, it's more about people who are corrupted and how to punish them. We victimize ourselves more. We take things too personally, said one Romanian. I learned from the Norwegians to look more at the big picture, and I have already included this into my work, said another Romanian participant. We learned from the Romanians how to size back the assets derived from fraud. We didn't have this mechanism before, said one Norwegian. What we have also in common is our concern for technology. We share the view that in all we do, we need the technology on our side. And the IT guy should sit at the table with us whenever we start planning whatever we are doing. Football, archiving, anti-corruption. From the early stage of any project. Talking about early, do you know when Norway had the first regulation regarding the digital archiving? 1960s. In 1960s, they had the first regulation regarding the use of databases. It's been a while. It's been a while. Last but not least, we discovered that we love each other. Hello. Food, of course. We love the Norwegian salmon and shrimps. They love our greens. And our grandmothers have the same idea of what is a healthy food. Do you know what? Meat and grease to take you through the day. And we also have sarmale or kalroletter. We love them, the cabbage rolls. Cabbage rolls unite us. But above all, we learn that we can and we should learn from each other. As one Norwegian said, we learn to understand our own approach, but exposing it to somebody who hasn't been working on it. Therefore, has a more open to the questions and issues that we took for granted. So actually exposing our weaknesses to our partners, we incorporate, we stimulate and incorporate their creativity, and both of us gain in this game. The knowledge transfer is not unilateral, and it has never been. Well, the biggest transfer about beyond knowledge and good practices and things like this is knowing each other, building on the similarities, enjoy the differences, explore our differences. We were talking about tango. Miguel Ángel Zolto, who is a tango dancer and tango composer, said that tango is about feeling and sensitivity, otherwise you are just doing gymnastics. What I can tell you, after discussing with all these people, it's not that we have done gymnastics. We have the figures, we have the projects, we have the outcomes, we have the results, but we have something more. This is feeling and sensitivity. Was it worth this, of all those millions of euros invested in these programs? Well, let's listen to some Norwegian taxpayers. We are where we are today with the sort of wealth that we have as a country. And I think that it's sort of an obligation or a duty when you are that lucky yourself, you have a kind or moral obligation to help others in the ways that you can. Very generous. But then she added, I also see that we have a self-interest in having good relations, in having an interconnected Europe in as many ways as possible. So, it takes two to tango, but it's more than this. Hello? It takes a village. If you want this big, vibrant Europe, interconnected Europe, it takes more than two to tango. It takes, as I said, a village or even a country in order to get it there. You may have asked yourselves, what with all these crazy illustrations, pictures, three-legged tango dancer, and so on and so forth. All these images have been generated by AI. This is how the machines see us. So, if we really, really want to see how it is to be alive, we need people. People. And better machines, right? People. Here are the people. It's always about people. And this is something that we have to take away with us. This is what I suggest. It's always about people and technology. But
there you go. So anyway, it takes people, and it also takes time to go through a big and ambitious program like the one we have today. As we said in the beginning, we are also opening for questions and answers. But we are also, I'd like to inform you that after our presentations and the questions here, you are all invited to a small cocktail and mingling, networking downstairs afterwards, where we had the coffee, where we can continue to talk about what has inspired us today. I kindly ask you, stay in topics, concentrate the questions to our eminent communicators based on what you heard today, and yeah. Or if you have reflections, if you want to share your experience or your inspirations after today, please do so. Raise your hand. You need a microphone to talk, and that is because of the live stream. Otherwise, they don't hear your question. So, anyone? Very good. Thank you. It's Camille, right?
Yes, thank you. I'm Kamil Wieder. I'm from the Polish Ministry of Development Funds. I'm representing our national focal point here today, but I'm also even a bit more experienced as the program operator, and I can't agree more about this last sentence that it's all about the people. And it's all about the people who want to cooperate, because we also achieved the same thing. We were starting our cooperation. We had some partnerships between Polish municipalities, middle-sized, especially ones, and we started our bilateral cooperation with thinking that only our municipalities, I mean Polish, can learn from the Norwegians. That the knowledge transfer will be one way. We were really surprised when we reached the point when the Norwegians said, okay, our colleagues came to Norway, they learned something from us, but we also heard from them that they know this, they do that in that way, and this is something what we want also to learn and what we can incorporate in our system, also what you mentioned. And right now we are making the bilateral initiative, and our Norwegian colleagues are coming to Poland. They are learning from their colleagues. So this is really great when people connect themselves in this pandemia time. They really met via communicators, Teams or so whatever. And right now they are cooperating, they are meeting themselves, they are coming. We had the really huge delegation from the Norwegian municipalities when we had our closing conference about 3 weeks ago, and they are still want to work. This 98, I thought, percentage in our presentation from 2 days ago, actually, the closing conference for the Polish grants, Norwegian, EEA Norway grants in Poland, okay? It's for real. Those people want to still cooperate, and they are asking, okay, when the new perspective will start? And that's the second point we are in, the timetable. We need time to give them, we need time to give to our beneficiaries so they don't have to run with the projects. How you also mentioned, we got so much money and we have so little time, and it's our experience, and it's and also our partners say the same. I cooperate with COES, with Norwegian Municipalities Association, and they also say the same thing. Let's make the time when we make this the calls, let's make them faster, so our beneficiaries can work and can cooperate, because this cooperation is started to be really, really great, and we all can learn from each other. So that's my conclusion after those years. So I also don't like to give away the mic, but okay, I will do it. So thank you.
Thank you, Camille. Very good input. Anyone else? Okay, that one behind. You can take it. Thank you. Please just tell us who you are.
Hello, colleagues. My name is Magdalena, and I'm also from Poland, from Ministry of Interior. And today I'm with Paweł and Rafał, colleagues. We work together for program operator from Home Affairs. And I will ask a question, but also make a comment. I agree with Kamil, colleague from Poland, to some extent, not to the very end. Thank you for the invitation. For us, it's a great opportunity to hear about the results from Bulgaria, from Romania, also from Poland, because it's not like that program operator knows about all results from the country that actually implement the program in. So this is also added value for us. And since today's event is named It Takes Two to Tango, My comment is as follows. I do believe that this is about the people, but sometimes it is also about institutions. And our experience from the home affairs area, when we cooperate within 3 thematic areas, it's asylum and migration, police cooperation, and disaster prevention and preparedness, is as follows. Sometimes people want to cooperate, but there is also something like capacity, institution capacity, and sometimes it's very, very difficult to find capacity to have another project. And this is that actually we dealt with within police and within Office for Foreigners in Poland. And my question is to colleagues from Romania and from Bulgaria, do you have the same problems? I mean, can you notice that there is a need, but there is no capacity, actually no people who could implement the project, because this is one thing. And another thing, the comment to Kamil, I also agree that we should find a balance between planning and implementing. But in my opinion, faster is not always better. And sometimes thinking faster before we start to think what we want to do is not a good idea. And especially in our program, I think the stage of planning is extremely important. And okay, we had 11 versions of concept note in the previous edition, but maybe it was for something. Maybe there was a point. So I think also for all of us, it should be quite important to find the balance. And in our example, our situation, I think the planning phase is also crucial. So thanks again. If you have some question about the Home Affairs program in Poland, please do not hesitate to ask now or later. Thank you.
Many quite big and important things you mentioned here, and I'm not sure that the communicators are the one who can give the best response, but if you can, please.
I have possible answers. I'm not claiming that they are the only answers to the points that you raised. You are correct in both of them, but organizations are populated by people. And I can give you the example of, let's say, village councils. Some of them are not able to pay for their own salaries, and they are just waiting for the government to inject money into their local budgets. Some of them have accessed funds, European funds usually, 40 times larger than their annual budget. So they are as depleted of money, of resources, both of them, those types. And it depends very much on the capacity of the people populating the organizations to move things around. This is why I made the point about bosses being like-minded, because I assume that in Poland, as in Romania, the hierarchy is very vertical, and if you have a good person on top, that good person will manage to change organizations, even if they are, how to put it, designed in a old fashion or unfunctional or underfunded. You always need a sparkle, and this sparkle is usually a person. The second part, about planning. I'm with you. The best part of any project is a plan. But starting with the idea that your plan is going to get real in 6 months, 2 years, 5 years, is childish. You have a plan to know what you have to break. So, but it's a very good step. And again, we have to compare our societies. At least Romania is a, let me find the proper term, it's a short-term society. You live on very short terms. You learn what you have to do as a public servant, for example, for one day to another. you receive a call from the ministry, I need this and this by tomorrow. It's a very short-term country. Our dream is to have this move to medium term and God help us to long term. Maybe we will know where we are going to be in 5 years from now.
Thank you, Joanna. I'm sorry to be cutting off. I leave this discussion to continue when you meet downstairs. There was one more hand. I think that will be the last one here, and then continue the talks in a little bit more informal setting.
Thank you, Katie. My name is Lica from Bulgaria. I work at the Open Society Institute. We were fund operator of the Active Citizens Fund, which is the civil society program in Bulgaria. Thank you very much for a very interesting panel. My question was, I would say, inspired, not provoked, by the story the Polish colleague told us about the museum in Poland. And my question to our communicators and to you all is actually, do you think that one day in Bulgaria and Romania there could be a Roma history museum? And who is to decide on that? Because we know that there are good examples in Norway, and I'm thinking about this for a long time already. And I would be interesting to see how you think about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Elisa. Roma Museum, it's noted. Anyone who like to comment from you on that?
Well, probably Elisa knows what my response will be, since we're both Bulgarians. Bulgarian society is still full of prejudice about the Roma people, and nobody almost is working for eradicating those prejudice. Especially now, since COVID, since the start of the war in Ukraine, since people became more radicalized, more extreme in their opinions, I think that nobody is trying to eradicate prejudices like this. And I think people in Bulgaria are not aware how interesting this could be. If you touch into their history, it is really interesting for all the people, but prejudice is always an obstacle for something like this, and I don't think the Bulgarian society has made a progress in this direction.
Oh, okay. Very short. Okay, very short.
I just want to respond. I'm from the program operator on culture from Romania, and we had a project on predefined project for Roma house in the National Village Museum. So if you come to Bucharest, you are going to see the Roma house in the Village Museum. It's built actually in the Village Museum. But we also have the 10% of the funds which is going on Roma projects. So all the projects on culture, we have 10% on a special call for the Roma culture projects.
Thank you. And Giacomo, then you will have the last word.
Okay, the last word. I just wanted to say, I think also in the name of my colleagues here, thank you very much for the invitation. I'm Giacomo Solari from the Swiss Contribution Office in Bucharest. I was very happy to cross the Danube and have the opportunity to meet you here. And I think that in spite of all what I was said, and really big compliments for the creativity in which you presented all the topics and also the beautiful music. So in spite of all the challenges that we have and the results that we want to achieve, the time constraints and everything, I think both Norway with the EEA, other countries, and Switzerland on the other side, we are really privileged to have this instrument. Because contrary to the EU, we can work with you bilaterally. We can learn from each other so much. And I think also that Switzerland, together with the EEA and Norway grants, we can also learn a lot from each other, and this is the idea for the future. So working in tandem. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I guess what this proves is that now we had, it takes two to tango one last year, two to tango two this year. And we are still talking, and we are not finished. We have more to talk about. So I'm quite sure we have started a tradition, so we need to continue to tango. So let's see what shape it will be next time. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to the communicators. Thank you to Kjell and Carina for the beautiful artistic presentation. Thank you to all of you coming here. Thank you for the one who've been listening online. I'm sorry that you will not be able to go downstairs and have something to drink and something to eat and continue. But thank you, everybody, and let's continue to tango. Can I say it? I'm sorry, I try not to talk too much, but I just have to say that there is a very beautiful music video that will come up now. So if you can spend just 3 more minutes and then downstairs, then it's very good.